Hey, hey, hey. Hey. Welcome back to another Tech Support Spy video. As always, we appreciate you watching. Thank you so much for tuning into this video. We, as always, thank you and appreciate you watching. And make sure you like and comment on this video and share this video with everyone. Let everyone know about Tech Support Spy and about the videos that we're putting on this channel. All right. Have you ever wondered what the difference is between a laptop motherboard and a desktop motherboard? Have you always wanted to see if a desktop motherboard and a desktop PC tower looks the same as a laptop motherboard, which is loosely smaller? Have you ever wondered if they're the same size, if they're one's larger than the other? We're going to talk about that in this video. And what we're going to do is we're going to make you, the audience, whoever's watching, you're going to now become a brother and sister motherboard. And we're going to show you the differences between two motherboards on a laptop and a motherboard on a desktop, and kind of show you the differences between both the desktop tower motherboard as well as a smaller version, a laptop. All right, brothers and sisters, are you ready to dive into the video? Let's dive into the video. All right, so we got two motherboards here. Obviously, as you see here, I have a laptop here. It's an old, dusty, funky, old laptop. And then we have a more up-to-date desktop motherboard here. So this here is an old Dell Inspiron 1525. This probably came out in like, I don't know, maybe 2000. I have to Google it to see when it first came out. But I did open this. I have repaired laptops before. Got some pictures here of me working on a laptop. One thing about laptops is when you're repairing them, you want to make sure that you take pictures and take notes of where all the parts go when you are repairing or attempting to fix something or replace a part on a laptop. Laptops are a lot more harder to repair than the desktop computers. But as you look at this here, this old dusty Dell Inspiron 1525. This is the motherboard that came out of that. This is the hard drive. It was a Hitachi. Looks like this was a 120 gig. You can see it, 120 gig hard drive, 5400 RPMs. So I took that out. So I want to show you a little bit about this motherboard. And then this motherboard here is a ASRock B460 Pro 4. This also has a GTX 1660 installed onto it. So this is the graphic card. We'll talk about the graphic card on the motherboard. But this loosely takes a Intel processor, loosely the 10th gen. So, kind of dim this down for the non-tech savvy, as we are here to help you become tech savvy. But if you look at like a i7 10870 or a i7 10700, that 10 in front of that model number for that Intel i7, that's representing the generation. So now I believe Intel is using like the 14th gen. So it might be like an Intel i7 14 700K, right? But that 14 in front of that 700K is representing that is a 14th gen Intel processor. So again, trying to dim this down, when you look at a motherboard, the motherboard has to support the CPU. So this motherboard can only do or support 10th gen Intel processor. You can't put a Intel i7 14th gen processor in here because it only supports the 10th gen Intel CPU processors. So this is what this supports as far as the processor. This here is old. So this has, I believe it had an Intel Pentium, a Pentium processor in it. I think the Intel Pentium is like right here. This is where the graphic card is at. So let's take a look at this, right? So this still has some of the adhesive. Remember, graphic card chips, graphic processing unit, central processing unit, they're all chips. They're all processing chips that have to be cooled down because it processes a lot of heat. So even I'm just taking all this off. Even the graphic card requires some type of thermal paste, and some type of fan, similar to this GTX 1660. I'll be honest, I do not know. I have to look it up and Google it. I do not know what graphic processing unit chip is in here. It's probably like some type of integrated Intel graphics that's on this motherboard. But this was the processor here. And see how it's kind of locked down. I hope you can see it. See how it's locked down here. Let's try to open this up here real quick. Should come out. Let's try this again. Yeah, there you go. Voila. See the pins here, and you see the slots for the pins there. So I'll go ahead and fasten this back up. Right? And then you see the memory. These are the memory sticks that go into a laptop motherboard. And if you look at the comparison, right, look how the laptop motherboard is comparison to the desktop motherboard, right? This is a full ATX motherboard down here, but obviously the motherboard is shaped to fit the laptop, right? So you can't just put this into this. It has to be something that's shaped to have it work around the different parts that go inside the motherboard of the laptop, right? Here's your RAM. If you look at the back of this, right, you have some ports here. These look like your audio ports. Here's your CMOS battery. But this is your internet port. This was your, this is an old PC, so it's using RJ11 or telephone cable connection, so it's probably using like some dial-up or DSL back then. See the HDMI port here. See the VGA port. Normally, this probably would have been like this, right? Would have been like that on a laptop. But yeah, some of the same parts that you see here, your CPU, your GPU, your RAM, your hard drive. I'm getting all mixed up. I think it was right here. Your hard drive, your CMOS battery, your ports, HDMI, your internet ports, your VGA, your USB ports, your power connection here, your AC/DC jack is right here. So those are the differences between a motherboard, a desktop, and a laptop. Let's take a look at the desktop motherboard. All right, so let's take a look at the desktop motherboard. As you see here, this is the ASRock Pro or the ASRock B460 Pro. I do have a graphic card already installed. This has a GTX 1660. So inside this graphic card enclosure is the actual graphic processing unit, the actual chip. Just like you have a chip here in the laptop, this chip is on the inside of this enclosure. It has fans. It has like thermal paste on top of the chip so that it helps reduce the heat that graphic processing unit chip produces. A GPU is similar to a CPU. It processes heat, so it needs fans. It needs coolant, some type of thermal paste to kind of help reduce the heat that a GPU will produce, similar to a CPU or central processing unit. So when you look at this, right, this is the desktop motherboard, right, and you have the CPU socket here. Let's open this up. It has some pins on the inside. This is a Intel i7 10th gen CPU socket that you can install into this motherboard. You also have RAM. You have your random access memory sticks. Your modules can go in this here. So you got RAM here. You have RAM here. What else you have on here? The parts on the back, right? So this is going to be in a desktop tower. So it'll be like this. It'll be like this. And as it sits upright, as it sits vertically, you got your audio ports here. You got a USB ports, a Ethernet port here, your VGA, your HDMI, some more USB ports at the top. As I look at this, I'm just trying to use my imagination. You probably have the power supply at the bottom there where you can hook in the power cord. And all your power cables from your power supply will plug into different ports, you know, around the motherboard. What else? So if you see here, this has an M.2 port. So familiar with some of the M.2, I haven't done a video on that. I need to do a video difference between the M.2 and the HDD, but the M.2 is just a new recent solid state drive technology. Fast solid state drives can be installed in the M.2 port. It has to be in an M.2 form factor. For those who are non-tech savvy, I'll do a video about that, but just know nowadays SSD, solid state drives, are now being produced in a M.2, an M.2 form factor, meaning that it comes in this type of size or this type of chip that can go into this slot right here. We talked about the CMOS battery, which is this right here, right, on the laptop. Well, if you can see it, the CMOS battery is right here. You guys can see it. So that is pretty much the difference between a desktop motherboard and a laptop motherboard. There's really no difference. The only difference is that the size, right? The laptop motherboard may be shaped and curved and designed differently to allow for it to fit inside the laptop assembly or enclosure. It's going to have parts around so that it has enough space to get around the parts that's on the inside of a laptop. Remember, a laptop is smaller, so a lot of the parts are condensed so that it can fit inside the laptop. Whereas the desktop, you have a lot of more flexibility to do a lot of upgrading, a lot of replacement of parts within a desktop. Where with a laptop, you can't do a lot of that because the laptop is small and a lot more condensed. A lot of times with a laptop, the only thing that you can upgrade is the memory and the solid state drive or the hard drive. A lot of times you really can't update the CPU, but some motherboards on a laptop you can do that. But this is the difference between a laptop motherboard and a desktop motherboard. I hope you learned something. I hope you liked this video. Comment below. Let us know how we did. I'm starting to run out of breath. I'm trying to talk so much. Let us know how we did. Let us know if you liked this video. Let us know if you learned something in this video. And tell others about us. Tell others to come watch Tech Support Spy. Enjoy our work. Enjoy our content. Thank you for watching Tech Support Spy.